Yo, how come like the lo-fi beat plays, right? But then all of a sudden I can't hear it when I'm like, is it because it's just background noise? I can't hear it.
Since it's added in the source, you won't be able to hear it. You can play it in your media player if you want to hear it.
Interesting. Yeah. So just do that. What's it called? Lo-fi. Nothing. There we go. Oh, okay, there we go. Thank you. Cool. Okay. Okay. What the? Hide that, Google Capture. There we go. All right, Mike, let's get you in here, son. Where are you at? Invite. How do you just click on a friend? I don't get that.
So now you have the link.
Now you go over here.
Do you have him as a friend on Discord?
Uh-huh.
So you just send that.
Marcus Birdie Shush. And then I go. Screen. What's up?
Yeah, so right now you're in the Discord screen sharing podcast and you have your Google open, which is why you shouldn't still unhide that.
But these are my personal questions. I'm like, don't want people to see those. Yeah. It's that.
Well, yeah,
Should I just delete it then?
That's what that is for, the live podcast scene.
Say again.
So your live podcast scene
Is what I'm doing right now. Or
that's what you want to have open most of the time.
okay.
What?
And then
Hey, Mikey, Mike.
and then you want to switch over to the
What's
Alright.
up? Can you hear me all right? Meet my
Yeah, I can hear you.
meet my brother-in-law, soon to be. His name's AJ. Or we like to call him AJ. 15 years old. 15 years old, and he's 6'2".
Oh dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
He was,
maybe I'll stop.
I only
around.
I only dreamed about that in high school.
Well, when you think about it, it kind of sucks because you're hitting chandeliers and door frames.
Yeah,
you
there's
can't
pros and
get in a
cons to it.
car, like,
That's so true. I feel it.
yeah, I'm fine with 5'8". I think 5'8" is good height. Like any shorter, like I guess I'm like 5'7", 5'8", but like that's good height. I run into door frames.
Hey, wait, how tall are you? What?
5'8".
5'8". I'm like barely 5'10". Like my doc tries to say I'm not 5'9" and 3/4, but
Trying to figure out how to make you bigger on the screen, but
oh, bigger on the screen. Are you in full screen right now?
oh, there we go. I just had to click on video chat.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, who would have thought? Click on video chat and it makes the screen bigger.
Learning things every day. So, yeah, dude, I'm really excited because I did some homework and I thought of some good questions. And I wanted to ask you which part you'd like to start first. Would you like to go down the professional or would you like to go down personal? Completely up to you. Sorry, I couldn't really hear you. What was that?
Yeah, I don't know. I've been having issues with my mic. Let me just give me a second.
Alright. It's like sounds crisp right now. I like that.
Here, let me, like, if I move closer to it, I might sound a little bit better.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay, so I'm doing a hashtag Washington because that's where the state I'm from. You're from Oregon, right?
From Oregon.
Yeah, rep the Oregon. Do you want to put the city in there? I'm from Woodinville, son. Where are you from?
Portland.
Portland?
Well, technically Lake Oswego.
Ooh.
I went to Portland schools. I'm right on the border. So across the street is Portland, and I'm technically Lake Oswego.
Oh, nice. Nice. Dude, do you
I
think...
was born in Portland, though.
Oh, you were?
Mm.
Born and raised in Oregon, then?
Yep, born and
Nice.
raised, just Pacific Northwest.
That's what's up.
Is the best.
Yeah, West Coast, best coast.
West Coast, best coast.
Okay, so let's take a step back real quick. I want to talk about a little bit about why I'm doing this podcast. And one of my favorite things about it is talking about things that we're passionate about and building awareness. And my goal is to hopefully that somebody hears something that we talk about or say that kind of sits home with them and kind of, makes them like get that smile and shit and be like, I can do this kind of thing. Or like they'd be like, yo, I relate to this guy. I'm not the only one who does this shit. Whew, thank God. Kind of thing.
A lot of people are doing podcasts right now, so it's a great time to just jump right in and with people listening and just getting started. But I don't have too much of an idea on podcasting.
Well,
you're right.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. I got plenty of questions for you on that too. Well, I just want to say thank you for participation. And question I have for you. First question. We're diving in. As far as like for you personally, let's talk about your journey and how you got here. By the way, you have the option to say pass if you want to skip the question. All right.
It's like in the general sense of where I got from where I started to where I am today.
Yeah, I mean, you're from and born and raised in Portland, Oregon. So we start there. How old are you?
26, going on 27. The months are just kind of a blur right now. Yeah, I'm old-ish.
You're 1 year older than me. I turned 26 this month.
But it's like the twilight of my 20s. Which there's still more things I need to do before I'm like, okay, I can move into my 30s.
Like what?
Like, get a girlfriend, and that's pretty much last little box to check. Not that it should be a box that you check, but that's kind of been my focus. But obviously with the pandemic, it's mostly just me living life.
Dude, are you happy though?
Are
you happy?
I don't know. I'm like content. Like I'm always kind of pushing for where I want to be going.
But content is good. Content is good.
Content, happy. Like it's not terrible for me right now. I wake up. I look for work. I do some. I did what are they calling them now? Virtual career fairs. Not like a virtual career fair, but like a seminar through Indeed. And that's kind of on career transitions, which I'm looking to do right now. So like...
Tell me more about
that. So I spent the last couple of years in a call center, and that was my first full-time job out of college, and I just, I got to a certain point where I wasn't happy with what I was doing, and like, I'd go out every weekend, and I had a fulfilling life that way. But it's important to have fulfillment in your work and what you're doing. Um, and it was just kind of the same promise over and over again. It's like, oh, Mike, we'll find a stretch assignment for you, or like we'll find. Well, it wasn't even we'll find positions and help you out. It was just like, oh, maybe a stretch assignment, and then just do your job and do it well, with kind of dead end career. Um,
Yeah.
so, with the pandemic, it gave me a couple options. Either, I could stick with what I was doing, and, I'd be making money, like I'd be making a paycheck. But I had enough money saved up where I was just like, the one thing I can't get back is time. Because, time once it's gone, is gone. So I decided, my time right now is more important. And kind of what the transition has looked like is I've always lacked like a technical expertise. Like I studied business management, so I can talk really well, and that's great. But the roles I was ending up with were sales roles, not any like management roles. So like right now I'm just kind of I have three things I do, and that's, each day during the pandemic, and that's coding, learning a language, and meditation. And that's been working pretty well, as far as, like coding goes. Like I'm understanding it better than I have when I've attempted before.
You're on the challenge, right?
Yeah, 100 days of coding. I'm supposed to be like doing it an hour a day and doing like it on Twitter, but I just kind of took the idea and ran with it just so I could have something. So typically it's actually I started measuring the time it takes me, and it typically takes an hour to a couple hours a day, just coding and doing.
To get it programmed in your head. No pun intended.
Yeah, well, all programming really is a list of commands. Is like if you're walking, it's like, well, what do I do? Like I go straight, maybe take a right, take a left, but it's just kind of that over and over again, which I enjoy because I did Lego robotics. When I was in Cub Scouts, I think so, like a couple decades ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Hard to remember. I think it was like first grade that I did Lego robotics, and I remember really enjoying that. And then I wanted to kind of continue it, but life just kind of happens, and I never really had the means to. But I now I'm in a better spot than I was when I left college 2 years ago. So I figured I'll have a year subscription to Codecademy and
See what happens.
so so far been learning a lot. But as far as my transition goes, it's just my life journey. Born and raised Portland, Oregon. Went to Stevenson Elementary School, then Jackson Middle School, and then Woodrow Wilson High School. Then after I ran cross country, I did track, that sort. Really nothing too crazy throughout my primary school years. In college is when I really started to flourish. And,
Were you a public school or private school kid in elementary and high school?
yeah, it was public school. It would have been nice to go to the
All the way?
private.
Public? From K through?
Yeah,
Wow. Nice.
like going to like the Lake Oswego schools would have been nice, but I went to Portland public schools, and I got a good education. They started the budget cuts my senior year, so like right as I was out the door was when they were talking about the big budget cuts for the school.
So you went to public school and you turned out fine. I went to private school. I turned out fine.
Well, I feel like private school, a lot of people turn out fine. Down there.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, there is a lot of yeah.
Because you just get more resources. And that's not to say you can't get those resources in public, but like private or charter schools, it's just kind of
Yeah. My favorite part
you know
about high school was playing baseball. I was like, because I went to Catholic school and I grew up raised Christian,
mm,
and I definitely felt like I was, let's just say, close to getting on the naughty list at that school. And
yeah.
yeah, my parents sent me there because I went to public school 7th and 8th grade, and they're like, yo, your grades slipping, you're getting into trouble, you're going to private school again.
I've kind of done the opposite. I've always played by the rules, and once I got into college, it's like, like what can I start breaking where it won't be completely broken, so to speak. But yeah, like all throughout elementary, middle, and high school, like I worked very hard like for my grades, and there's actually a thing where you can like overwork yourself to the point where you psych yourself out and actually do worse. Whereas if you didn't like care about it at all, like I cared so much about succeeding that I actually caused myself to fail.
I've experienced that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so college just kind of chiseled
Stress.
away at all the like anxiety and the low self-esteem I had, so I could kind of become confident in what I do. And like it's been kind of a roller coaster of the last couple of years, but right now, yeah, I'd probably say like I'm happier than when I was just going in and be like, "Hi, this is Mike." Blah 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 blah. Oh, your package and this
And
missing.
you're
Like,
young. You're so young. Just
well,
maybe we haven't become billionaires yet. Just because matter of time, right? Matter of time.
like 2 years is 2% of your life at best, which that's how I always frame the question, because that's what I always hear is it's like you're young, and then you're old, and then it's like, what did I accomplish? So I never want to be there. So that's always
What do you want your
you know
legacy to be?
my
Like, what do you think?
legacy.
What's on your mind when you think of legacy for yourself? What do you see?
I don't. Yeah, I honestly don't really, know. I just want to like be able to create an impact. So like, life is always changing. But right now for me, it's that focus on data analytics where I can just comb through data and, help people make sense of systems. And then, I would like to have a like sustainability element to kind of my knowledge and expertise, which I do to some extent, but I feel like the environment's very important. And if I could get into like more environmental work, then like leaving an impact for whatever unforeseen future problems we might have, like combining the two. But I think like data
I see what you're
analytics,
saying. Making an impact. No, I feel it. I see what you're saying.
but yeah, as far as outside of that, like work itself, I feel like I do have a pretty good impact. It's just that mentality that, the little things in life make a difference. That, small acts of kindness and investing in someone's potential really goes a long way. So, I always kind of, want to be the person who leads by example and kind of at least tries to make the world a better place, because it's so easy, to be like, oh, I'll do that later. It's not, why is that important? But, yeah, you can also only focus on so much. So, it's just doing what I can when I can, and
That's all you can
you
do.
know, like
Doing what you can, giving your best, and I mean,
yeah,
what more
and
can
I'm
you do?
getting to a point where like I'm having like old teachers friend me on Facebook and reach out because they remember me. So that's always gratifying.
For sure.
That because some people are just forgettable. Like it's some people just go through their entire lives, and then that I think that's a lot of people's worst fear is that like, people won't remember them, that they'll just kind of fade away. And
Yeah,
I don't know,
I think that memories and things fade over time, but I think there's like certain memories that last longer than others, maybe. But like, when I think of legacy, I think of like I just want people to remember me as someone who was always smiling, and he really liked making people happy, and he was just a positive, happy person, and like he made me smile, he made me happy whenever I was around him, and that's how I like want to be remembered.
not for your deep dark secret. Yeah, no, that's always,
As long as like my family and like my friends and people I care about most just like remember me as like the positive, happy person I am. Like, yeah, like I don't know, I just really enjoy being, around you and talking to you and like other people and our family. Like, I just want people to remember me as like someone who just kind of brightened their day, made them smile.
you have a lot of enthusiasm, and I just always very energizing to be around, which you don't see a lot of.
Thanks, Mike.
A lot of life can be draining, but it's yeah. I think as far as your legacy goes, you're doing a fine job on it.
Thanks, man. I mean, making an environmental impact, like, that's dreaming big. I admire that.
Yeah, I always have kind of just shot for the stars, and whether or not I get there, like on the small scale, I guess it's just things I don't really think about, but
Look at this guy.
yeah, I mean, making people happy, and but I don't know. I just always thought it'd be cool to, like, and that's what we're taught, like, throughout our entire lives, is it's like dream big, make an impact, and it's what you always see in the movies and TV shows and reading books, and like
I learned the hard way.
it might be a fantasy, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with being passionate and never settling.
I agree. I learned the hands-on way of like I saw the movie Wolf of Wall Street
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street
with Leonardo DiCaprio, right, playing Jordan Belfort. You know how Jordan Belfort acts like for the first 3/4 of that movie, just like crazy, like super stoked or like enthusiastic, like professional kind of swaggy kind of guy. And like it looked like he got everything figured out, like that was my kind of job that I wanted. And then I found out that people don't even take me seriously about their money because I look like I'm 16 still, and I'm turning 26 this month. But
get a fake beard. That's what I do. Like,
that's what I said to myself. I said, it's whenever I grow a beard and when I can do that, that's when I'll go back into the industry. People would take me more seriously.
There's something to be said about it. Like I look, but it's a blessing and a curse, really. Like
it is. That's what I learned from my friend. Yeah.
But like a decade from now, you're gonna be like, yeah, like got a youthful face. But it's nice. Like yeah, I look pretty young. But I can just grow out the beard.
Facial hair. It adds like
yeah,
a lot of maturity too.
Yeah, and I can even like stroke it. Like it's great. It's Yeah, it's hold a Rubik's cube in one hand, then you're pretty much set. I used to.
What
I
about
used to do
glasses?
that a
You
little
got
bit.
glasses too?
Do not have glasses. Just punch out the lens and call it good.
Oh my gosh. Have you heard of the blue light glasses?
um,
Like for
I
gaming?
think I'm familiar for like computer screens if you're looking at them all day, right?
They're super cheap and plasticky, so you can get new ones. But it makes me look a little smarter, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Just it kind of looks like you should have like a bow tie, like
Yeah, exactly.
suit, like bow tie, just
Exactly.
like
But still, I need this to kind of polish it off.
yeah, just and my beard's auburn and brown. It's just it is great because I never grew it out in college, so that's the fun.
Yeah, you're
How
right.
you remember me is always clean shaven.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
For sure. Yep. I have a baby face, plus I'm like Filipino, so I'm gonna have these kind of looks for a really long time. I'm gonna be ID till I'm like 60.
yeah, well, even with the beard, I've been ID'd. And I'm just
Ooh,
like,
they're brave.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I don't get ID'd, and I love it. It's just something about not being ID'd is great. But it's the law and everything, so people are like, oh, ID. But like, going to like a German place, be like, oh hey, like.
I'm so used to it. I think it's like weird if they don't actually like ID
Well,
me.
when I was in Europe, like I don't think I got ID'd once actually.
It's
Oh,
like
that
a
was-
tradition. You start when you're like 15 there. You're drinking
Yeah,
wine
like
when you're 12 at dinner.
16 for beer, like 18 for hard liquor. I think is what they have.
Wow. It's pretty
Which-
lax.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I could wander like German streets with a carton of beer in my hand, and just like in the U.S. you put it in like a bag, and you're like, okay, just gotta get this home. But like in Germany, I'm just like, oh, beer.
I
But,
love beer.
Yeah, Germany is the place to go. Amsterdam isn't too bad either. Like touring the Heineken factory.
It sounds big. Sounds like the
Yeah,
world's
it-
biggest fridge.
Heineken factory was definitely very large, and they went through all the history of it. And you learn quite a lot about beer too. Everything's just really educational over in Europe. Like I loved it. I could learn so much in such a little amount of time. But
Let me ask you this: what is the biggest positive thing that you think you learned about yourself, like over that trip studying abroad? Because I feel like it's totally something, right?
yeah, nothing. I learned nothing. No, it was one of those life-changing experiences. Like legitimate life-changing experiences. Like everybody like seeks out, but like you blink and you miss it. I really struggled with going abroad, but the way I did college is I set it up in stepping stones. So if I did this, then I could do that, and if I did that, then I could, go on to the next thing. So Germany, I was already involved with all the student organizations, and I had the confidence from, like management club and AK Psi to be like, you know what, this is terrifying. I'll be in a foreign country for the next 4 months, but like it would be easier to just spend the rest of my, college tenure at Corvallis. Which wouldn't have been terrible, but I didn't want to have any regrets, so that's when I decided to go abroad. And as far as the one like big takeaway was just kind of my confidence and my independence too. Not having like a safety net if I fell. like being like 5,000 miles away from home in a completely foreign country, not being able to speak the language. That is a real like gratifying experience.
Kind of freaks me out a
Yeah,
little bit because I don't know the language.
yeah. Well, when I first got there, I was like, I just kind of shut down like the first week, but like after the first week, I just got outside of my comfort zone, and it was one of the best like actually the best experience of my life. Just being abroad and being able to do whatever I wanted.
That
Like I
freedom.
haven't had that much fun and like my entire life. Like just being able to and travel's super easy over there. So I was traveling almost every weekend. Just Amsterdam one weekend, Austria the next. Like Strasbourg, France, Paris, France. All those places. And eventually learning the language over time too. Like it was wonderful. Like I still practice German. I was mentioning the language learning, and since the pandemic has happened, I've just kind of hunkered down and have been really like. So what do I need to do to like fully cement like these hobbies and interests that I have, so that it's like because I want to be like fluent in German. Um, like I took Spanish for 8 years, and German just kind of seems like the next step. I still haven't used Spanish in a professional capacity, which is super interesting.
Are you fluent?
Because
Borderline,
it's
basically.
hard. It's hard to say just because I haven't had practice at all. I can
Hey.
have.
I have a question for you. Just random question.
Mhm.
When it comes to like giving advice to people who are thinking about going to like Germany or Europe, all things considered, if we weren't in COVID situation, like what would you say, as give them some advice before they go by themselves?
That's yeah. I mean, honestly, my advice
Learn German.
buy a one-way plane ticket. I think learning the language is great. Like I did it a little bit before I went over, and then when I got there, like I was overwhelmed, but I'm like, I started practicing German, but I don't understand anything that they're saying. So, like, it makes the experience 100 times better if you know the language. Because
Because you can engage, right? Start talking to
yeah,
people.
because I could walk into a bakery and be like, ich möchte eine Schinken Käse Laugen und Kaffee bitte.
How do you
And
spell
that's
that?
that.
How do you spell it?
Let's see, it's been a while.
I'm just playing.
Schua Ken, and then Keza Ka with the 2 dots above it.
Whoa.
SE.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, other cultures are intriguing.
yeah, it really is. I kind of have this idea with the remainder of my life. I do have quite a bit of time to figure it out, but I did a 23andMe, like the DNA kits, a couple of,
Yeah.
like a year ago. It was on sale on Amazon, so I'm like, I don't have anything better to do with my money.
How was it? I've never done one of those.
I found it fun. It's super fascinating, and it's just kind of like knowing where you come from and kind of, like your heritage and background is super fascinating because I think everybody has that longing and desire to really fit in and know where they belong. And also, like, when I was younger, I used to, like, I found we had a project called People in the Nation for 8th grade.
And what? Tell me more. What is that?
So I interviewed my grandfather, who was on the DMZ border for the Korean War. So the demilitarized zone, which is the borderline between North Korea and South Korea. So
Oh.
he was stationed there for a little bit. Um, and then as a bonus, we could do a relative that was like an ancestor. I forget the exact details, but I asked my grandfather about like my great grandfather, who was from Ireland, and he was a Freemason and moved to Australia. So when I was in Australia for 8th grade, it just kind of lined up because my cousin was getting married in Australia. So we were actually able to track down his grave back in 8th grade, because he's buried in Australia. And that was kind of my first taste of just kind of like, like I've always wanted to travel, and had that desire, but
Right.
that was kind of like the first, like, oh, like it's important to know where you come from.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure. I think that's
yeah,
important too.
yeah. The 23andMe, it breaks it down to like geographic location as well. So for example, like I'm British and Irish,
Oh, nice.
mostly. And it's like, oh, it looks like your
Keep talking.
ancestors came from like Dublin or the Greater London area. And the cool what I found coolest about it is, I'd always heard that my grandfather was German, and that supposedly our family had some German. So 23andMe had that, like, I'm a fifth German just based off of my DNA. But the region that it showed like my ancestors being from was Baden Württemberg. I think I'm saying that right. Obviously,
Close
I'm not
enough.
fluent in German yet.
Close enough.
But that's actually where I did study abroad. The exact area. It's this like southwestern Germany. So I thought that was a strange coincidence that before like I did like the DNA test, like I went back to, like, I just had this urge to like go to Germany.
Nice. I like that story. That was good. That was good. Well, let me ask you another question. Do you think there are advantages to adversity?
So, well, I think that's the very thing that makes us human. Because you said adversity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like why or why not?
Yeah. I just feel like it's unavoidable. Like life isn't without its scars, and it's. I feel like how someone copes with a situation or circumstance says more to their character than when you see them and when times are going well. Because it's easy to be nice when things are going well, when things are always going your way. But like setback after setback, as long as you're learning from it, I think it has its benefit. After a certain like extent, like
You may not see it at first, that's for sure, right?
yeah, it comes down to like perspective and how you would frame kind of like the adversity itself. Because what I found is people are just poor with coping. Like they, especially now you're seeing that with the pandemic is we live in a society that's I just heard the term today. It's called like toxic positivity. The person
Ooh,
might have just made
elaborate.
it up, but I've been looking for a word like to kind of describe this feeling I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just when you have Instagram and you see people's best selves, you go
Feeling
on
guilty
LinkedIn,
for feeling what
you
you feel.
only see people who have gotten the job. Nobody talks about like a time when they faced adversity or when they're upset. You only hear everything like after the fact, so it puts this overemphasis on being positive when um, that's not really how you test character. It's good to be positive to a certain extent, but like at the end of the day, everybody's talking about like grit and resilience, but yeah, I'm trying to think like how to really like articulate it. I think like the benefit of like adversity itself is you gain good coping mechanisms if live through it and get through it. If you really make an effort, you can tackle any situation. Like myself, for example, you know, meteorites could start falling from the sky, and I'd be like, okay, maybe not scream, maybe not like run around in circles, but like maybe keep a calm demeanor, and maybe the world won't end. Maybe it'll be like the road,
Just worry
little.
less.
uh, yeah, because a lot of people they just ignore what troubles them, and that works for a while, but eventually everyone will be backed into a corner.
And it'll come out. Something will happen. Yeah, you hit that. To me, sounds like me hitting rock bottom, or my feeling of hitting rock bottom. And honestly, I bet that I'm gonna hit rock bottom and feel like that like many times, before I'm dead. But like, yeah, I might feel confident and gritty now, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna fall on my butt and get knocked down. But like you said, communicating it, having that support system, I believe, is like really important. Instead of bottling it up, like you said. Just kind of sharing those and expressing those thoughts and talking about it, even like on a podcast like this or something like that, I think helps people like it's like makes them more self-aware and gives them perspective, and makes them feel like it's really not that bad. Like
and just
everything's gonna be
normalizing
okay.
it too, because I stopped like caring what other people thought of me. Like that was part of my college growth, is when I started freshman year. I was so concerned with what everybody else thought of me that I felt like I couldn't have any adversity or struggle, that I had to maintain this perfect image. And that has its pros and cons. Like, you be what you want to be in the world. Like, if fake it till you make it. That's tried and true. For me, after a certain point, though, like, I changed fundamentally. You don't notice change until you've actually changed, and then you look back one day. Like for me, like there are very few people who can like document my entire like college transition. Um, and luckily I'm one of them. I kind of paid attention. I kept a journal when I was in college, and I started my blog right about that time. So I can actually, go back through my life and see where I was, like at any given point in time.
That's kind of cool.
Right now I'm the best version of myself. But the Mike today will not be the Mike tomorrow. If I'm the same.
You are Mike Cole. But yeah, no,
I
I
am.
see what you're saying. Yeah, you might not be like a programmed to do the exact same thing all the freaking time, every day, all the time.
Well, it's always learning and always growing. Like you always want to be pushing to be better and reaching that ideal self. And you can't reach your ideal self if you don't deal with adversity. You know, what is it? Oh gosh, so many books I read over the years just to kind of get a grasp on all the concepts. And Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
Okay.
That's a book I read, and it just kind of gives you tips and tricks on like emotional intelligence, and using that as a school of thought is vital. Um, like people are temperamental, get upset easily, and people who are even like, I am fine, I am perfect, and I don't need to change. You have to kind of take that with a grain of salt. Like, sometimes you just kind of get that gut feeling, like when somebody says that, they're saying that because that's what they want to be, but not what they're actually.
Yeah, so I've had to learn to like not take offense to like no, or if somebody basically, I don't know, feels like rejected, I don't know.
Well, even giving like criticism or feedback, sometimes
For sure.
like the other week, for example, you asked for feedback, and I gave it like on the for like the podcast. Like it is so easy for people to be like, oh gosh, I'm not doing well enough. Like it's like there's all this and that, but like that's not the point of feedback. Like you took it, you applied it, and like
I'm not worrying too much about it, and I'm not getting too high off of like like the greatness and being famous or anything like that. I feel like I'm learning to be like really patient about it and not wanting it too soon, and just being okay with like, I'm just having fun here. Like if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I think it's fun. I'm having fun. Hopefully the people I'm doing it with are having fun. Maybe somebody else will have some
just
fun.
like I've been on a couple times just watching like like incrementally each episode is better than the last, like
That's cool. Like
getting
that.
the setup and not being afraid to like experiment. Like people are so afraid of taking a risk and making mistakes, but like what's the point if you're not like risking? Like that's all. Like all the risks I usually take are calculated risks, but like for example, it might not seem that smart not to have a job right now, but everybody's in different spots, and I just decided for me, like, hey, I could not have a job for a couple months or even like a year or two. I planned way out. But like this gives me time to like, I couldn't spend the 8 hours I would have spent going to work. I can now allocate a good chunk of that to learning to code. If I want to start podcasting, like I could feasibly try that. I'm still fiddling around with my mic, but that's what makes life enjoyable. It's not like working 9 to 5 unless you get extremely lucky and find your dream job. But even then, it's the creative pursuit that really gets people going. But as far as the adversity
Well, hey, Mike.
question.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm really sorry.
Oh no, you go for it. You're the captain. You steer the ship.
Mike, I really appreciate you having being here. Like seriously, this is awesome. I'm having a lot of fun, and I hope you're liking these questions. We've got a few minutes left before I'm gonna go play some Xbox and start streaming on PC. But one question I kind of wanted to end with was one, I want to talk to you about writing. Like that's like what you love to do, right? That's like one of your passions, is being a writer.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's just it relaxes me, and people seem to like it too. So I just keep doing it.
No, that's good. I do think that if and my idea is LinkedIn, writing, And our conversations, maybe there's like a little nugget in the hour long that we talked where it just kind of sat with you and made you, kind of start wanting to write or start writing something. Do you want me to send you? It's really hard to send the email version of this because it's literally like gigs, bytes of like a file to send over.
It's quite a
Yeah, like it literally, my computer is just, it's like the blue screen of death, basically. It feels like. But what I'm thinking, my like dream would be to like watch this video again and look at like certain parts where I thought that like we like had a really good point to talk about, and then creating like a LinkedIn post about it. Would you be okay if I did that and mentioned you, or like said this guy
that
was
great.
50-50 with me? I mean, like, I couldn't do this without you. I feel like it like would be so. It's so important for you to like make sure. I want to make sure that like you feel like important too. Like I like feel like I just don't want to be like over, stepping on anybody's toes or anything like that. I just want to make sure everybody feels appreciated because I really am grateful for you and like anybody who listens. Seriously.
No, I think posting on LinkedIn is a great idea. You said the audio files are large, right?
Yeah. So I'm thinking to break it down into snippets, 5, 30-second, 60-second clips, or and then to kind of take it down and just be like, I talked to Mike today, or talking about struggles and successes. One of his 3 takeaways were this, check out the full version on, or whatever, that's like, I don't know, that's what I think of.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great idea.
I feel like I sound inarticulate trying to explain it.
No, I get it.
You get it, right? You get it. Okay.
Because you want to do a professionally formatted post on LinkedIn that has kind of like getting exposure to what you're doing right now, and kind of the conversations you're having. The one thing I would recommend is if you're able to condense the files, like send them ahead of time, and then like I can give it a listen and be like, oh hey, this sounds really good, or maybe like add this or add that. But if they're too big, like
I need to get a way to give them to you, right? So that way maybe you can, some inspiration will spark, right? Would that be okay? Or
yes, inspirational spark. Okay,
I don't know, maybe something
maybe
like we talked about. You're like, holy shit, that's a good point, Marcus. Let me go into more in depth about this. And then like, that's why I want to send you the video. But yo, before we continue on, we got a question from a viewer. The question, it says, how do I stay calm during intense situations? For example, an example would be that I'm worried about being the last out in a baseball game during a clutch situation. So how do I stay calm and not worry about being scared? That's a great question.
Like
I played
in the
baseball.
moment.
But you wanna give him your 2 cents in less than 2 minutes?
Yeah, so I can do that. So what I started doing when I was really stressed in college is I began meditating. So I found a point in my life where I was overwhelmed by everything, and I was looking for any kind of new method. Like journaling wasn't working anymore, like writing down all my thoughts. So I started meditation, and what I've since evolved, like right now, I meditate every day for typically like 20 minutes, but what I started branching out with this year is different meditation techniques that have to deal with breathing. So there's one that is meant to kind of calm you down, and I got a lot of bad anxiety this year, so that's kind of how I improved upon my meditation. But you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold the breath for 4 seconds, then you breathe out for 4 seconds, then hold the breath for 4 seconds. And you just repeat this over and over again until you feel calm, or like
I'm already
set
feeling
time
calm.
for like 5 minutes. Yeah, it's just
Meditation works,
because you do.
right? Meditation
And
works.
then, yeah, it really does. I'm a huge advocate for meditation. Like I got the Headspace
So
app,
breathe
as
in
well.
that situation. If you're in the baseball game in a clutch situation, first before you get in the batter's box, maybe even while you're up in the on deck circle, just breathe. That 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. So when I used to play baseball, the way I would handle it, first of all, I will say that yes, I mean, I'm not perfect. I did care about what other people were going to think if I was going to be the last out. And I remember in Little League, actually, one year I freaking cried my eyes out because I got thrown out at first base in Little League by the catcher. And that was devastating. And I remember everybody looking at me like a crazy. I also remember a time where I hit a game winner and everybody looked at me like I was a hero. Either way, you know what? It's really difficult to calm your nerves, keep your composure. But I think that the best thing you can do is take Mike's advice is to first breathe and just don't give a fuck about what anybody else is gonna think. Just do your fucking best. If you know in your freaking heart that you swung your hardest, you tried your hardest, and you still got the last out, well, guess what? That's not the end of the world. You're not a one-hit wonder. You're going to get so many more at-bats in your lifetime. Unless it was the last one. I mean, don't get me wrong. That'd be maybe a little sad for a little second. But, I mean, come on. Got plenty of time. Plenty of time to take more hacks, get more at-bats, and get some game winners even instead of game losers. I mean, in high school, first time I joined varsity and was playing in the regional, basically the preliminary rounds to get to the state championship. I was a sophomore, and this big lefty pinch hitter came, and it was top 9 or top 6, bottom 6. I was pitching. I hung a curveball so big over the plate that it just looked like a big balloon that he just home run. We lost the game. I went walking around damn, I felt like a failure. But guess what? Surprisingly, my coach, when we got back to the locker rooms, he said, "You know what, Bird? We'll get him next time." He said, "You we did great. We tried our hardest. We'll get him." And guess what? I was a sophomore. My senior year, I was pitching, and we won state. And our team won state, my senior year of college or high school. So just saying, you're going to have winners, you're going to have losers. Do your best. Take Mike's advice. Don't forget to breathe. And just go out there and try your best. That's all you can do. If somebody's not happy with that, then they can piss off. Pardon my language, but maybe you're just not going to be your friend. I don't know. That doesn't mean anything. You know it. You know deep down inside that I try my best. So you should be happy with that. Just be happy. Be content with that. Thanks for the question, yo. We're looking forward to talking to you guys again. Thank you, Mike, for being here. This was really fun. I appreciate everybody's participation. I'm really grateful. And we'll see you next time. I'm super excited, guys. One more thing. Please leave a review and subscribe. And, yeah, it would make my day if you did that. Thanks, guys. Hey, Mike, I will talk to you later, all right, homie?
Yep. Pleasure as always.
Thanks, brother. See you next time.
See ya. Bye.